Hello Code Gurus, welcome back. In our previous video tutorial, we have added authentication support to our web application. And as a part of that, we realized that it's not highly customizable. So as a part of this video tutorial, we will go ahead and create a custom authentication flow to our web application, like including a sign up, sign in, maybe even a reset password. So as a part of that, we will be using Authentication API provided by Amplify framework. All right then, so let's proceed with that. So here I'm back to our IDE. Let's go ahead and open our signup.vue file, which we created in a couple of video tutorials back. So here, these are the two tags which provide the functionality out of the box. So let's get rid of those two tags. Those are Amplify tags. And let's undo our sign up form, which we have created a couple of video tutorials back. So let's go ahead and see whether our changes have taken place or not. So let's go ahead and access a sign up form. So refresh it. All right, so it looks back to normal. So as a part of this, what are the changes which we are expecting? So the first change is I want 3 different fields to be displayed to the end user. The first one would be collecting his username, the second one would be collecting his email, and the third one would be his password. If you look at over here, we already have 2 fields. All we have to do is we just need to add the third field, which we are interested in collecting from the end user when he is signing up into our application. So I have just copied that text field over here. So I'll just go ahead and rename that. So the first one will be our username. So I want even the label to be as username, so rather than login, and of course it's a text field. Let's leave that. And the next field would be his email. So the name would be email, and the label also would be email. Let's go ahead and see whether those changes have taken place. So if you observe over here, those changes are present now. So what is the next change which we want to do as a part of our custom login? So I want to display some logo, or the logo which is related to our website, to our end user over here on top of this sign up form. So how do we do that? So before that, let's go to our assets folder. And so what I do is I just copy and paste that logo which we are going to use. It's the same codeguru logo, but without a circle. So over here, how do we display our image? So I want to display the image above our sign up form. So do we have any image tags we already used? If you remember, in a couple of video tutorials back, we used our v-image provided by our vuetify framework to display image on our homepage. So I'll just copy the same tags. So I'll just copy that tags from our homepage.vue, which we created a couple of video tutorials back. Save it. And I want to change the logo name. So the logo name would be our no circle underscore logo. And one more important thing, try to use SVG files as your logo image format, because that works very well with vuetify. If you directly go ahead with PNG, they are not that great, especially when they are trying to implement the responsiveness into our application. So all right, so we completed that. So let's go back and look at our application. Yeah, it looks good, but it's somewhat elevating our logo. Let's go ahead and reduce that size of that logo. So let's go back to our IDE. Maybe 65 is the height which I'm looking. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. So again, 65 is just a random guess which I made. So all I was mapping in my brain was like I wanted the size to look somewhat 50% or than what it was looking, less than 50%. So I just made a random guess of 65 number. So there's no, I can say it's like rocket science behind that. All right then, so what is the next change which I want to do in my sign up form? So I want to get rid of this cancel, and whenever I click on my logo, I need to go back to my home page. So how do we do that? So in order to do that, so your Vue.js comes with a tag called as router link. So this tag takes 2 as an argument. So to the path where it has to navigate. So here I'll just go ahead and close the tag first and say I want to navigate back to my home page. So here I'll save that changes. Let's go back and have a look. So whether it is taking back us to our home page or not. So if you see immediately our arrow has changed to hand symbol, that means that that link is working. So if I go click on that, so I'm successfully linked our image from a sign up form to our home page. So let's get rid of this cancel button and make this sign up form maybe in between, make it into the center of our sign up form. So what we will do is I'll just go ahead and get rid of this cancel button. So we already know that v.spacer pushes the tags to maybe to the other end of the corner. If you combine the button in between those tags, it will ensure that there is an equidistance being maintained between your component. So I'll just format this tag. I'll just format this code and go back to our sign up form inside our browser. So it looks excellent. Now, one more small component which I want to add to our sign up form is I want to ask end users that they're agreeing to our terms and conditions. So how do I create that checkbox? So again, let's go ahead and have a look whether do we have any out-of-the-box component provided by vuetify framework so that we can use it into our application. So I've navigated to our vue.js web page and I've clicked on documentation. Under the search, let's go ahead and see checkboxes. So there are a couple of. So let's go ahead and see inside our form tag. So what kind of behavior I'm expecting? So this is the more or less this kind of behavior. So I want end user to agree the tags. If he doesn't agree, I just want to show him that you need to agree before you continue. So let's go ahead and copy that tag from that form. So how I've come over here in the search menu, I've just typed form. So inside you will be navigated to the form. So this is the first demo which is available in our vuetify framework or vuetify website. I'm just going to copy paste that checkbox icon. So where is that icon over here? So here you can see that's the checkbox icon which we are interested into our code. So I've just copied that. So I want to leave that below our form, below our password and above our sign up button. So let's go ahead and see how is it looking. So it looks excellent. So if I don't log in, so it will say you need to agree before you sign up. All right, that looks fine. And one more thing is I just want to provide a link. Let's assume user has accidentally navigated back to my sign up page rather than login page. So rather than making him go back to my home page, then click login, what I want to do is I want to give him a hyperlink or a link over here itself so that he can go directly to the login page. So how do we do that? So I want that to be displayed below our form. So let's say to the user that maybe he must have accidentally come to the sign up page. So he already has an account. So here I'll say have an account. Yes. So then probably what I'll say is I'll just go ahead and create a hyperlink over here, which will navigate him to the login page. So here I'll just put a href and equal to login. So now let's go ahead and see how is that looking. Looks like it did not. So what I want is I want that thing to be a bit in center of a form. So how do we do that? So let's fall back to our vanilla HTML pages. So here I forgot to put login. That's the reason why our login was not visible. So if you see over here, now the link is visible. And I want to put this thing in at the center. So here what I'll do is if you fall back to our vanilla HTML tags, we have a center tag over here, or you can even use a align word, align provided by the paragraph tag. So here I'll just say it as align. So here I'll just say center. So if you see over here, it is exactly looking where it has to be there. And maybe I just want to give some gap between a sign up page and login page. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and create a break tag between those forms. So now it looks exactly the way how we are expecting. So one more thing is, maybe I just want this sign up form button to look a bit bigger. So how do we do that again? So here we will just go ahead and say large. So this is the feature, this is the parameter provided out of the box by our vuetify framework. So if you just go ahead, you could see that the sign up form has been elevated a bit. And so one more thing is, I just want to provide those tags within the form itself, so that it realigns in a proper way. So what I've done over here is I've just moved our v.actions into the card itself so that it is not sticking to the bottom of the page. So this looks like most of the implementation which we wanted as a custom page. The next important phase is how do we link and provide this sign-up functionality to the user, or how do we call our backend resources which we have created in our previous video tutorial. So for that, we will be using this API provided by your Amplify framework, the Authentication Api. So if you navigate to this page, so how did I come to this page? So I've just navigated to our website, and I've said over here, you should see something called as API section, and I've just clicked on the authentication section. So now if you go over here at the bottom, you should see something called as sign up. That's what we are trying to implement. So there is a method called a sign up which is provided by your auth class inside your Amplify framework. So if you see over here, all we have to do is we just need to go ahead and provide this components. So parameters which your sign up is expecting. So before doing that, let's go ahead and finish all our different pages, and then we will come back and we will use this API to create or to complete our functionality. So over here, let's go back to our IDE. So we are pretty much happy with this features over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy paste this entire page into a login form too, so I've just pasted everything. So whatever we did, so if I go back to my login form, it should pretty much look like a sign up form. So I just click on login. So it exactly looks like a sign up form. Yeah, obviously we are not going to have these three fields. We will go ahead and customize that again. So here in our login page, we do not need a username because that username we are just going to use as a display name in our future video tutorials. So let's get rid of that guy first. And obviously, we are not going to ask for any agreeing conditions during a sign up because we have already asked the user to agree to our terms and conditions when in our previous when he was trying to sign up. So I've even removed that. What else do we need to change? So this title has to go up from sign up to maybe login. So here, let's go ahead and change the title to login. And what is the next important thing? So this button becomes from sign up to login. And let's say if you want to create an account, let's assume like if an end user has accidentally navigated to our login page rather than the sign up page, so we want to give him some functionality rather than making him to go to all the way back to our home page and then come back to our sign up page. So here I'll just say create account. So here I'll just say maybe slash sign up, and over here I'll just say sign up. So here I'll just go back to our page over here. So here you can see if I click on sign up, so looks like we are pretty much happy with this layout over here. Now one more important thing which I want to add to this forms, both to sign up and login, is I want to add, let's say whenever I send some backend request, it's not going to be always instantaneous reply from our service. It might take a couple of seconds, especially when you are trying to sign up or sign in. Maybe the Cognito pool connects, searches for that particular user in its database, then validates his password. It might take a couple of seconds. So rather than freezing his page, what I want to show the end user is a progress bar on top over here. So again, let's go back to our vuetify website and go ahead and search for something which is available with progress or not. So here you can see this is not we are looking for. We want something which sits below that bar and displays. So over here, maybe this intermediate progress bar is the one which is close to our requirement. So I'll just go back and open that code pen. So this is the code which is required to add that progress bar to our form. So I'll just copy that, and where do we want to show that? It's just below our toolbar. So here I'll just go back and show how it looks on our page. So it looks like there is some gap between our title and our progress bar. So we can fix that by using the predefined progress or spacing classes provided by our vuetify framework. So if you go inside over here, you should see under helper classes, you should see something called as spacings. So here you can just go ahead and customize it. So these are the document which you can use to adjust your maybe alignment between the components. So for us, what do we need to do is, I'll just go ahead and say class MA, M means margin, and A means all directions. I want a zero align, or I don't want any spaces between any direction of my progress bar. So I'll just go back and let's go have a look. So this exactly looks like what we are trying to do. And one more thing, this has to be visible only when we are trying to do some process, not every time, correct? So how are we going to fix this thing? So we will go ahead and add a property to our Vue component. So here I'll just say API. I'll call that thing as API request. So maybe as by default as false. And whenever I'm trying to do some login or sign up functionality or login functionality, I'll go ahead and display that. So whenever my background request is in process, I'll show this component only at that time. So for doing that, we have one more component provided by Vue, not with vuetify. So this is a conditional statement Vue-if provided by a Vue framework. So all I have to do is I have just to bind that thing with our property which we created over here. So now that it is false, let's go ahead and see. So it's false. So whenever I click on this button, I want to show that. So for displaying that, what I'll do is, so what is the method which we are calling? So we are not calling any methods whenever we are calling our login. So here what I'll do is, I'll just say on click, I want to login. So here I'll just say login user. So let's go ahead and create a method where we will be using inside our Vue component. So it will be async. So I'll just say it as login. So now over here for timing, I'll just provide an alert trying to login user. So let's go back over here to our login page and click. So we need to reload first. Now we will just go ahead and click on login button. So it says you're trying to log in. So during this time, I want to show them this progress bar. So how do we do that? So here all we have to do is this dot API request is equal to true. So this is the same logic which we are going to do, or when we are going to add our Amplify API to this code. So I've saved it. Go back to our browser. Just refresh the page. Now if I click on login, so let's assume that there's some background request happening. So that's the reason why now I'm showing the progress bar. Cool. So that looks excellent. So we need to go ahead and add this progress bar to even our sign up page. So whenever a user is signing up, rather than freezing his UI, what I want to show is that we are doing some background process. Please hang on. So how do we do that? All I have to do is just copy this v.progress bar and paste it in our sign up. So below the tool, and ensure that you have added API request. So whatever the field which we are trying to use over here is set to false. Cool, excellent. So both login and sign up page looks that they are fine. What is the next flow? So whenever a user clicks sign up, so the next flow which your Cognito expects is the confirmation or confirm sign up. So let's go ahead and create that. So we don't have a view for that. So let's go ahead and create confirm sign up or confirm user, whatever you want to call. So again, I'll just go ahead and copy paste the same code from our signup.vue file. So let's go ahead. So now over here, this is a new view we have added. So we need to add the logic to our router.js file too, so that it's aware of our confirm user flow. So I'll just paste that. So here I'll just say it as like confirm. Maybe for end user, I just want to show him as like confirm sign up. And yeah, maybe I think I'll just go ahead and rename it as like confirm sign up so that everything is in a line. So I'll just say it as confirm sign up and the name also as like confirm sign up for this route. And this is pointing to confirm sign up. Okay, one more small change which I want to do is right now, since we are in our initial days, having a views or all the views under a views folder looks fine. But as your application flows increases, it becomes tedious to maintain everything under one folder. So what I want to do is, now that we are modifying our router.js file, I just want to go ahead and create a subfolder, say auth, and put all the auth related stuff views into that folder so that it's easy for our, I can say it's like for maintenance in our future and easy to read by a new developer whenever he joins a team. So all I've done is I've just moved everything into the auth folder so that they look, all the authentication related stuff is under one umbrella. So since we have changed the path where they are, so we need to add auth because that's the folder where we have moved our components. So just say auth. So here we have added our confirm sign up and we have added that to our new route. So over here, let's go back to our browser. Looks like it says it can't resolve auth.views. So where is it happening? All right. So this is because this logo path is incorrect now that we have changed the path of a logo. So let's go back to our sign up. So that error is over here. So all that, now that we have moved our views into a one folder depth, so let's go ahead and ask all our images to go ahead and look a one folder above to that. Cool, excellent. So now if you go back to our browser, let's refresh it. Looks like still we are having one more place where we have missed it. I think it's login page. Yes. So I've added 2 dots. I've added that. Let's go back to our browser. Okay, so yeah. So now that we have disturbed that path, we need to correct everywhere. So this is one more error where we are facing. So let's copy that. So that's there for our layouts. So where is our layouts? It should be over here. So again, we need to ask them to navigate a layer above. /dot. So I'll just copy those and go back over here and paste that. Now hopefully that must have fixed everything. So here it says module not found, can't resolve. This one. Oh, that's interesting. So it's not able to find our new confirm sign up page. So did we do some mistake over here? So it's complaining that it's not able to find this page. That's interesting. So it should be mostly related to the typo mistake. Maybe I'll copy that and paste that over here. Let's go back. Okay, so looks like there was some typo mistake over there. So now if you go to your sign up, everything works. And if you go back to your login, again, everything works. Let's click on our login page and see. Is it loading? Yes. If I click on login, yeah, everything works. Now let's try to even go ahead and access our confirm sign up page now. Since it was a copy paste from a sign up form, it looks everything like that. So we really don't want to look like that. So what do? So all we are expecting over here is some code from the end user. So let's go ahead and get rid of all the unnecessary fields which are there. So the first and foremost is we don't need a user. We just need only one text field. So I'll just get rid of one text field, and we don't need a password field, and we don't need a checkbox field. So maybe I want to change the logo from person to lock because that's your code. Right, so maybe I want rename this username to like confirmation code. So I want to display to the end user to the same way, but with a different letter. So here I'll just say it as like confirmation code. So how does it look like? So if you go back to your browser, so it just shows them like what he wants to enter. Now one more thing which I want to do over here is I want to display his email account with our web application. So to do that, there's one trick. So I don't want to show them like what do you say, like a text field or text, maybe like an input text field, but which is in a disabled form. So here I'll just say copy it, paste it. So if you go back, you should see 2 mails. So here what I want is, I don't want this to be an editing field or editable field. So I want that field to be disabled. Again, is it possible? Yes, it's possible with our vuetify component. So if you go back to your vuetify web page, looking at input. So if you go back to the input, there is a property called as disabled. So let's go ahead and copy that. So here I'll come back. Let's format this code first. So what I want to do is, it is a text field, I agree, but it should not be editable. So this looks excellent, exactly the way we are, or I was expecting it to look like. The next thing is, it's rather than lock, it is the email ID which I'm displaying. So probably I'll change it back to email. And here I'll just bind this label with some kind of property over here. So maybe the username itself. So here what I'll do is we need to create a property for that. So what I'll do is I'll just say it as like email. For time being, I'll just initialize it with dummy at codeguru.com. So codeguru.io. So I just saved that, copied it. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and bind that field over here. So if you go back to your sign up form, you can see this is how exactly I want it to look like. Now, one more important thing is, let's assume user has lost his code. I want to show him, or I want a way for him to regenerate it. So I don't want him to go through all the pain of signing up and doing all the hard work for us. So what we'll do is I want to provide him with a good navigation over here. So what I will say is, just below to my confirmation code checkbox. So here I'll just go ahead and say, so I just want to ask the user, did you lose your code? Lost your code? If he says, so here I'll just say it as like resend code. So this resend code, I want to put that thing inside our anchor tags. So as of now, we are not going to implement that, or let's see how time permits. So here I'll just say href, it's going nowhere. And if you go back to our form, so it's aligned to the left. Maybe the right alignment would be a better option. So here what I'll do is I'll just say align to the right side. So now this looks much better. So here we'll say lost your code, and whenever it clicks, we will go ahead and try to implement that functionality in future. Cool. So this looks pretty much excellent. So we got the confirm flow, we got the sign up flow, we got the login flow. Only final flow which is pending over here is the forgot password flow. So let's assume we forgot to provide that thing over here in the login. Let's assume user is trying to log in, but he forgot his password. So we need a way for him to reset his password. So for that, we need to create one more view for that. So let's go back to our code. So here, I'll just go ahead and create a new file. I'll just say it as like forgot password.vue. So again, it's going to pretty much the same thing. Copy from your confirm or sign up, whatever the page you want. Let's go back to our forgot password and paste it over here. So if you go back over here to your forgot password, so since it's a new view, again, you need to configure that thing inside your router.js file. So just copy that. So here I'll just say it as like forgot password, and the route name is also forgot password, and your view name is also here. The view.file name is also forgot password. So I'll just copy that. Now over here, I'll just say it as like forgot password. So this is the form which we are going to present to the end user. So now over here, what I want to do is I don't want to have this dummy field. So I want to collect the end user to provide his, his account email address so that we can go ahead and resend the password to that particular account. So for doing that, let's go back to our forgot password and let's get rid of this disabled text field. So we are just going to have only one field, and that's going to be the email field, because email is the primary way of, it's the primary way people go ahead and log into our account. So this is going to be email, and the label is also going to be your email. So if you go back over here, so here it says email. So, and I just want to get rid of this lost reason because we don't need that. So here on top of the field, I'll just want to enter some message like, please enter your email address over here. So here I'll just say, please enter your email ID. Please enter your email ID. So here I'm just asking the end user to just please enter his email ID, and he will just go ahead and provide his email ID, whichever the ID is associated, and just click on forgot password. All right, so here I'll just take a quick pause and probably align the text which are associated in all the fields, because so that this video doesn't get bloated up. All right, so here we have completed almost all the UI logic. I believe let's have a quick walkthrough. So here is a create account. So I've just updated the text over here from sign up to create account, which looks more intuitive to the user, and I've updated the other text. If you look some difference, so that's what I've done when I have taken pause. So from create account, everything looks fine. Let's go ahead and have a look at the login page. All right, so looks like we missed forgot password over here, so we will add that thing in another couple of minutes. So I'll just go back to create account. Everything looks fine. Let's go back to the forgot password. Everything looks fine. It has linked back to the login page. Let's go ahead and look at the confirm sign up page. Yep, everything looks fine. So except we forgot to add forgot password to our login page. So let's do that thing now. So over here, what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and add forgot password. So that should go ahead and I think, so if I go ahead and add that, so it has added forgot password. So let's align that thing to the right side. So here I'll just say align right. So that looks perfectly fine. But if you see over here, if I click it, nothing happens. I need to link it back to the forgot password page, correct? So for that, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and link it back through a hyperlink or through an anchor tag, I can say. So here I'll just say anchor a and provide a href / forgot password. And let me close this tag so that Vue does not complain about it. All right, so that looks perfect. So if I click on forgot password, yeah, forgot password page is shown. If I click login, everything is shown. All the home page buttons are also working perfectly fine. So here I'll just click on create account. I go back and everything looks perfect. So what is the next step? So here we have just created the UI logic. The next step would be adding your backend integration with your UI. So how do we do that? So as I said earlier, we will be using the API over here. So I'll just go back to the Amplify website. So here I'll just go back, click on docs, JavaScript, and over here you should see under the API guides, you should see something called as authentication. Now over here under the authentication, first let's go ahead and finish our sign up flow. So that's going to be the next flow which we are going to implement into our code. All right, so here we will go ahead and proceed with our sign up step. So what are we going to do? So whenever I click on create account, so I need to go ahead and collect that user. So here I'll just say click. So here I'll just say create account. So we need to go ahead and create one method in order to start integrating our backend with our UI. So here I'll just say async create account. So let's go ahead and just say alert create account. So just to test whether that integration is working between that create account and alert or not. So here you can see it's working perfectly fine. So inside that method is where we are going to write this step of calling your auth class and create the user. So before that, we should start collecting or ensure that the fields, the text fields and your component properties are associated with each other. So how do we do that? Right, so if you guessed it correct. So here we have something called as vModel. So these tags are going to be associated with the properties. So here this is going to be our username. So here I'll just say it as like username, and for time this is a string. So next, I don't want to initialize. So the reason why I haven't put any value is because I don't want to initialize anything into it. So the next step is collecting his email ID. So again, so here let's paste the username so that that binding is complete. Cool. So the next step is now we will go ahead and add one more vModel tag over here for our email. So next, just say email, copy that, and format our code. So cool, that sounds good. So here I'll just go back. Again, it's a text. So the next thing is I need to even collect his password. So again, password is over here. So here I'll just say v.model is equal to password. So let's go back over here and just say password colon string. Cool. So here, these are the fields. So what we have done is we have associated the input fields with the component properties. So that's perfect. Now they are available over here for us for consumption. So what is the next step? So here, all I have to do is first import your auth library, so which we have already done over here. The next important thing is I just need to say auth dot signup. So again, if you see over here, magically this has come on my screen. So the reason why it has magically, your VS Code was able to do that, I have installed an extension which is which provides IntelliSense to your aws-amplify. So how can you install that extras? Just like how you typically install your VS Code add-ons. So I'm not going to cover that, so probably you can just Google that quickly. So now let's go ahead and fill this properties. So here, this is going to be the username. So here, the username is the one which it's expecting. If you remember our previous tutorial, we have said that our username is nothing but it's going to be our email address. So Cognito is going to expect that thing over here. So this dot email is nothing but your username from the Cognito point of view. So I know this is a bit confusing, but that's one of the shortcomings from your Cognito. So whenever you select your email as your login form, so it expects your username to be the same email address. So the next is going to be our password. So here I'll just say this dot password. And over here, again, I'll just go ahead and associate email with your this dot email. And at the moment, we are not collecting any fields apart from the name. So again, username, which I said, it would be your display name. So here, that goes as a part of your name over here. So here, I'll just do that, copy it, and I'll just say it as like username. So this name is nothing but your custom attribute, which comes out of the box inside your Cognito user pool. So that's where I'm initializing. I'm not doing any validations. So if the user is login or if the user is signed up successfully, then probably I'll just display some information. If it's not, I'm just trying to do some logging over here. That's it. So this is the easiest way. So this is where your Amplify makes your life pretty easy. All you have to do is just say auth sign up and provide your whatever the parameters which you're expecting. That's it. You're done. So let's go back to our web page, and so it looks like we did some mistake over here. All right, so let's go ahead and fix this. So I think we should go ahead and just give it as like empty strings over here, not the type. That's the one which was causing the problem. So I'll just go back to the browser now. So that fixed it. So now let's go ahead and quickly sign up. So here maybe I'll just say it as like codeguru, and email address as dev.codeguru@outlook.com, and password, some password. So again, I just want to generate my password over here. So I'll quickly log into my password over here. So I've just filled my password. I've just clicked on sign up, and I'll just click on create. Now let's go ahead and see what has happened behind the scenes. Looks like we have a lot of errors. So let's first go ahead and fix one by one. So it says checkbox method is not defined of the instance but reference. Okay, cool. That's the first. So this is the error which is related to this checkbox guy. We have copy pasted it, but we never associated that value with something. So that's complaining about this checkbox value. So probably I'll just go ahead and say checkbox colon. Maybe by default, I'll just say it as like false. It changes to true. So let's go ahead and refresh our page. Did it fix that issue? Cool, excellent. So looks like it has fixed that issue. Now let's go ahead and create a user. So here, as my username, I'll just go ahead and give the username as codeguru, and I'll just go ahead and give the email address as codeguru@outlook.com. Remember, you need to give a valid email address because you will be getting a real OTP which you have to verify. So here in password, I'll just go ahead and choose the password which is generated by my password manager. And here I'll just go ahead and accept the terms and conditions. And now go ahead and click on create account. Excellent. So here you can see that it has successfully created the user, and it has even given me the response that it is trying to deliver my confirmation code via email over here. Cool. So now let's go to our AWS console and look at that, whether we have that particular user or not. So this is my AWS console. Now let's go to aws-cognito. Now click on manage user pools, select your user pool, and now over here click on users and groups. So this is the section where all your users will be stored. So here you can see the account status as unconfirmed. Now just click on this username over here. So if you see over here, this is the name of the user which we gave, and this is the email ID which it's going to deliver our OTP to it. Now, if you guys have observed, even though our signup page was successfully, even though our signup page has successfully created the user, it is still over there. Why is it not doing anything? So the answer to that is we haven't completed our code over here. So now, if you go back over here to our code base, this is where the sign up is happening. So what we just did, once the user is successfully signed up, we just said log it and do nothing. So now over here, what we will do is we will go ahead and add some code which will redirect the user to a confirmation page. We will still go ahead and log the user, but we will be slightly changing the behavior. So now over here, if you see the console.log statement, I'll just leave it as it is. So what is the next step which we need to do? We need to redirect the user to the confirm sign up page. And also, I need to pass the email address to it so that it can pre-populate it. So how do I do that? So now, here inside your Vue, let's go ahead and look at Vue API. So here, I'll just go ahead and say Vue router. So just click on the first link. Now over here, we should be having something called as programmatic way of handling things. So programmatic navigation. So this is the method which we need to use in order to go ahead and redirect the user from our sign up page to our confirm sign up page, and as well as In order to pass the information for time being, I'll be using query parameters because my confirm page doesn't know who that user is. So I need to pass him that who that user is to it. So here, as a query param, I'll be sending the email address to that. So in future, what we will do is we will go ahead and look at something called as vuex, which is a centralized store or state management inside our Vue.js. All right, so let's go ahead and add this navigation to our code. So inside this confirm section, what I'll do is I'll just say this dot dollar router dot push. So now as per the syntax over here, what is the first thing? It needs a path, and if you're trying to send a query parameters, it needs that body. So I'll just copy paste that so that it's easy for us. So now what is the path over here? So in our case, if you go to our router.js, for our confirm signup page, it is /confirm signup. So I'll just copy that value, go back to our signup page, and I paste that thing over there. Now what is the next thing? So here we said that we will be sending the email address, right? So I'll just say email address colon this dot email as a query parameter to the next page. So I just need to get rid of this. So now what this does is once the user is successfully created, it will redirect that user to the confirm signup. Now if you look over here, we even created something called as progress. So the progress bar should be visible only when something background process is happening, correct? And it should end once that background process is done. So now over here in our code, whenever the user clicks on create account, that is the place where our process is starting. So here I'll just need to go ahead and say it as sign. So here, just to stop it, so what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and just say alert user is being created. So that we can go ahead and look at that progress bar. Now when do we need to disable this guy again? So once the user is successfully created, I need to stop that guy. So here I'll just need to say this dot API request is equal to false, so that the progress bar is not displayed to the end user anymore. All right, so let's go ahead and test this code. So now I'll just go back to the browser. I'll just try to create the same code. So here I'll just say it as create codeguru. So observe, since this user is already available, you might get an error. So that's completely fine for me for time being, because all we are trying to do now is just check if our progress bar is working or not. So just click on create. So now just say click on OK. So now over here you can see this bar is working perfectly fine. Clear? So now what's next then? So the next step would be we need to go ahead and push this user into a confirm signup page. The reason why this page has not navigated to the confirm signup page is because, as expected, this user is already existing inside our what do you say, cognito pool. So now let's go ahead and remove that user and then send the details again. So here what I'll do is I've disabled that user. Now I'll just delete that. So now there are no users inside my cognito pool. So I'll just go ahead and refresh this page. So now I'll just say codeguru dev.codeguru@outlook.com. Now I'll just go ahead and pass the information. I'll update it and I'll just click on update and click on create signup. So here you can see you have successfully navigated to confirm signup page. All right, so now here we need to fix something. So we need to display the email address which we passed. In order to do that, let's proceed to our IDE. So now over here, we are passing this email as a query param to our confirm signup. So what we need to do is, in order to fix that dummy at codeguru.io, we need to remove this hard coding, and we somehow need to assign the value which we are passing as a query param to our variable over here. So how do we do that? It's pretty simple. So all you need to say is this dot dollar route dot query dot email. So this value will contain, so it's not router, it's route. So whenever you are trying to address that particular route of that where this particular component is available, that's route, and this query and email are passed as these. So now let's go back to our IDE and have a look. So here you can see now that value has been changed. The reason that value has been changed is because of this value which we are passing over to our confirm signup as a part of our query parameter. So what is the next step? We need to go ahead and add how to confirm this user logic to our confirm signup page. So let's proceed with that. So inside our IDE, let's go ahead and associate a method to our confirm signup or confirm user, whatever the button which we called over here. So we call that button as confirm. So what we will do is we'll just say it as @click. So here I'll just create one new method called as confirm user or confirm signup. Now let's go ahead and create a new method over here. So we have already this method. We'll just add a comma and just say it as like async confirm signup. And the next step which we are going to do over here is we have under the same auth library, you should have one user called as confirm signup. So now if you observe over here, the parameters which it receives are the username and the code. So these are the two values which we need to pass. So where are these values? One value is with the email over here, and the other value we need to go ahead and bind that. So how do we go ahead and bind that? Again, what? So we will be going ahead and using our Vue model over here. So on the text field where we are asking our user to enter the confirm code. So just go to the text field where we are saying as confirm code. All we have to say is Vue model is equal to, and I'll just go ahead and create a parameter over here. We call it as confirm code. And for time being, I'll just initialize it with an empty string, and I'll bind that thing with that particular field. So here, whenever a user enters and clicks confirm, so this field will be automatically, this field value will be automatically assigned to this confirm field variable over here. Now, what is the next step? So we just need to go ahead and change this value. So here, all I need to say is this dot email, and instead of our code, we have this dot confirm code. So don't worry about the remaining parameters. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to the user to confirm, and I'm just trying to print whatever the response we are trying to get from our aws-cognito. So we can do one more thing. Once the user is confirmed, what is the next step would be is like, I want this user to be navigated to a login screen. So again, guess what? So in our previous step, we used router.push, right? So we will be using the same thing, and we will be going ahead and confirming that. We will be doing the same process over here in our confirm signup page. So what we will do is we will try to navigate the user to the login page. So I've just added the function body to that, and I'll just say this dot router.push, and this one will be login. So let's double confirm that path is correct or not. So that's absolutely correct. So let's go back to the confirm, and over here we can go ahead and get rid of this parameter because I don't want user to go ahead and I don't want that field to be auto-populated, but somehow it looks like pretty good functionality when the user confirms and automatically is email pops up. So it will be just one more step less for the end user to type. So let's go ahead and try to pass that parameter to the login page. So all right, so let's go ahead and check that confirm functionality is working or not. Let's go back to our browser. So here I've already received my code. So I'll just go ahead and enter my code over here, whatever the code which I've received. So it is 811857 is the confirmation code. So before I go ahead and hit the confirm, what I'll do is I'll navigate to aws-cognito and I'll probably show you guys what is the user status now. So this is the aws-cognito. So let's go ahead and try to access that user. Now here you should see something called as account status, enabled or unconfirmed. So those are the values which it receives. So if you click on users under group, so here you can see account status is still unconfirmed because we haven't yet verified our email, and you can also see that email status is also false. Verified status is also false. Let's go ahead and click on confirm. Let's go ahead and click on confirm. So now let's go back to our page, click on confirm. So now over here you can see it is saying it has returned as success value. Now let's go back to our AWS and try to refresh the page. Here you can see now the account status has been changed to confirm and email verified status has been changed to true. So with this, we have even completed our confirmation process. So now over here, if you see what has happened is since we have asked our application to go ahead and navigate to the login page, we have successfully even navigated to our login page. So what is the next step? So we need to just implement our login functionality, and with that probably we would be completing our tutorial over here. So now let's proceed to our login page. So in our login page, what we need to do? So the first thing is in the query parameter, we are passing the email ID whenever the user is navigating from the confirm user page. So we are sending the user to this account, right? So what shall we do? So we will, if we are getting this value, we will go ahead and pass that value. Otherwise, we will just leave it as it is as email. So now in order to do that, we just need to bind that value. So before that, what we need to do is I need to go ahead and bind this email value. If user is trying to modify, probably I need to go ahead and get that value. So I need to bind this parameter somehow, or I need to bind this text field with our parameter. So now over here, go to the data section, just say email and empty string. So just copy that and bind that variable over here. And we need to even collect the password. So again, we just say v.model and put password over here. That's the password which user has entered. And we will create one more parameter over here as password. And I'll just keep that thing as empty string for time being. So now one extra step is if user has provided the email address, or if the user is coming from confirm sign up page, I just want to pre-populate the email field so that it just looks one less step for the end user. So here I'll just say it as route.query.email. So now let's go back to our login page and have a look. Success. So here, if you observe, that email field is getting populated successfully. Now what is the next step? We need to go ahead and add login functionality to our login page. So how shall we do that? Let's proceed back to our IDE. Now over here, we should see something called as login button, and we have already created something called as login user. So we will just go to that method over here, and we will try to add the login functionality over here. So here I'll just say it as auth. So here you should see something called as sign in. So all that sign in needs is the username and password. So we know that the username is available inside our email and password is available as a part of our this.password. That's it. So this will go ahead and talk to our aws-cognito and authenticate the user. If the user is success, then it gets back as the value. So here what I want to do is, if you have observed previously, we just said this dot request will go ahead and enable the progress bar whenever the user is trying to log in. Now I just want to disable it before returning from this function so that it is not active anymore, because by the time we completed our API request too. So here I'll just go ahead and click that. So now over here I'll just go ahead and populate that password to that account. So I have populated it. Now just look at the console. It shows as authenticated. Now whenever I click the login button, it should send a request and we should get back the response. So observe over here. So we have successfully authenticated the user and Cognito has returned the user object to us back. So if I copy this user object over here and go back to my Cognito pool and try to verify, it's exactly the same object. So whenever a user successfully logs in, the Cognito pool gets back, gives you back the user ID back. So now, what are the things going forward? What are the things we can do? So the next important step which we can do is maybe navigate the user to the user dashboard page. So that we will try to have a look in our next video tutorial. So apart from that, what are the other things? What are the other, I can say, drawbacks of the approach which we have done? The first and foremost is we have not done any validation at the user end. Let's say user enters some junk email ID or invalid email ID, we are not able to verify that. And we are not even showing the runtime errors which happens. Let's say user, whenever he's trying to log in, he tries to enter an invalid username. So let's go ahead and click over here. So we haven't even catered that for that kind of errors. So in the upcoming video tutorials, what we will do is first, we will try to complete the functionality. So in the upcoming video tutorial, first we will go ahead and create a user dashboard and navigate him from this login page to that particular user page. And in the upcoming tutorial after that, we will go ahead and see how to add validations to our project. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. And please do not forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends if you like it. And if you have any feedback related to our video tutorials, please do provide it in our comment section. And if you are looking for any of the topics, or if you have any queries, always put a comment in the comment section. We will try to reply to you back ASAP. Now, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking the channel icon over here below. And you can follow the entire playlist for this web series over here. Thank you.